Good afternoon, everyone. Testing. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you're able to hear me. All right, cool. Thank you, XXX. Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope that you all are having a great Sunday so far. We have a lot to cover. I appreciate you all joining here. Where are you guys watching from, by the way? Like XXX game one? Where are you guys from? Sad because of Bitcoin. Yeah, there's just been so much volatility going on recently, um, and we're wondering whether it's going to go up or down. But I kind of like that it's in the red zone before the market open. All right, and then we have from Germany. That's very cool. Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was actually out in Grand Rapids once. Very beautiful area. All right, so we'll give it about another minute, but I would love for you all to kind of put your comments, questions in the chat, and we'll definitely cover this live Q&A just with any questions that anyone has here. So what we're seeing here is like just with Bitcoin price. In fact, let me just draw out what I'm seeing here. So what's playing out here? I'm really seeing a pennant flag here. That's kind of what I'm drawing here. In fact, it's actually a bullish flag channel here. But don't you guys see that though? Like, um, we're seeing this, this continuous Bitcoin hovering into this bull cycle here. Uh, I very well just see, yes, it can go down there to like 77 when we saw that, right? But what happened? It started retesting. It went back up to 90, you know. But I think that it's just going to go up in that direction as you scale out. I think what we're seeing is like healthy consolidation, just with what we're seeing here. Um, Support level, where we are, 70. I think with the lowest that it could potentially go, 74K is my target. But I think as we scale out here, we see this other bullish pennant flag here, zone one here. We're into zone two. But I think that we're going to have a breakout here. I think all of this is just attributed to the tariff talks and all of that. But I think that Bitcoin is about to break out. That's a key thing. Next week for Bitcoin, we'll cover all those updates definitely. Leave your comments and questions in the chat, and then I can cover in detail all that's going on. Thank you all for joining. Happy Sunday. If you have a question, put a Q in the front, and then we'll go through it. We'll also go through MSTR updates as well. We're looking at the Bitcoin M2 money supply here. So black represents Bitcoin price. So obviously things have been looking much more red with Bitcoin price. I actually took advantage of Bitcoin price today as well, sprinkled more, just buying things when it's below 100K, right? Because long-term perspective, it's only going to go up. But blue line here, M2 global supply. Bitcoin tends to correlate with M2 money supply in blue here. So as the blue goes up, within a matter of weeks, Bitcoin price will actually follow through on that. And you think about just with the United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, I mean, there's just going to be so much price action that's going to be coming. I'm very excited with where we are headed, just with all of the news that have come out recently. But it looks like we have more people in the chat. Thank you all for joining. Happy Sunday. I'm very excited with this live chat here. Let me know what your requests are, what your questions are. Put it in the chat and we'll go through all of these questions and details here. I'll just continue here. So Trump signed an executive order banning the US from selling its Bitcoin holdings. The same order also authorizes government officials to keep purchasing Bitcoin. So what we heard from Cynthia Lummis back in 2024 at the Nashville conference, first thing is US is going to stamp in the executive order to hold on to the Bitcoin. What we saw with the prior president, we had a lot of selling of Bitcoin, and that caused about $17 billion in loss of, just profits without holding Bitcoin as a strategic value here. So the US, a nation burdened by massive debt, aims to bolster its treasury through this approach. Yes, amidst of all this, people are still selling their Bitcoin. Can you explain it to a 5-year child why they do this? So think about inflation, think about deflation. So monetary policy, all of that is controlled by the government, and that's through increasing interest rates or just printing out more money. But I think the key thing is Bitcoin is the economic shield for this economy here. With Bitcoin, the price is only going to continue to go up. And just with Sailor, I mean, with this post, America will be the Bitcoin superpower of the world here. The golden age of America has begun. Let's go. I mean, very exciting milestone here with Donald Trump. You have David Sachs here signing that ink deal executive order. There's no turning back here. The US, it's a race right now against the big time countries like China, Russia, the United States. I mean, we hear like El Salvador, all these other states, countries buying up as much as possible. And I think now with Michael Saylor attending the White House, one of the interesting things was he proposed a new strategy for the government through a neutral approach to how to buy Bitcoin. And just with the 4-year plan of Bitcoin, the goal is to just buy up as much Bitcoin as possible, being the stockpile of digital assets in Bitcoin here. So definitely one of the biggest milestones here. And when you think about it, where we are today compared to many, many years ago, Bitcoin was, viewed as like speculative. People didn't believe in it. People thought that it was a scam. But now you have the government backing. So the perspective has really changed. And now I think with financial analysts and all that, before you would be fired if you were proposing to invest in the Bitcoin. But now, if you are a financial analyst proposing to invest in stocks and bonds, but not, Bitcoin or crypto, then you will likely be fired from the firm. So that just changes the approach of how we look at Bitcoin, and with the government really, taking a stance on digital asset as a stockpile, that changes the name of the game here. All right, so next week for Bitcoin. So as for Bitcoin price, with your question, you know, I think that where we are right now, 82,000, we may very well see, Bitcoin price, get into that, come tomorrow, it may break through 88,000. I think next week we may even see the top off in back into that $90,000 range. March timeframe, I wouldn't be surprised if it breaks into that $100,000 range again. But of course, we may never know what can happen. I have a support line here. In fact, Bitcoin may continue to go down here. I mean, we saw it drop down to 78,000, but I think where there's volatility, that's the key thing for it to start pushing up here with the price. So I wouldn't be too worried about where we are. I wouldn't worry so much. Even if you have the ability to just dollar cost average, take advantage of that. Definitely. All right. I hope that answered your question there, Game. And as for MSTR, if Bitcoin price starts going down even more. In fact, the market night open, it's going to open up in like 2 hours. I think that with Bitcoin price hovering at like 82,000, MSTR might open up the night trading of being down by like 4 to 5%. But I think a lot of people are going to take advantage of that with MSTR being down. But we'll cover the details with my technicals of MSTR as well here. I do have my technical updates of MSTR here, but we'll cover that. But key signal is for next week. We definitely got to break through that $330 threshold line here. Let me just draw that out here. 330 is going to be a key. One moment here. Okay, it's not working for some reason. But just imagine that line 330. I think we'll get more consumer confidence as soon as we break through that 330 line, and very well MSTR can start running back up. Long-term perspective, this is definitely a great opportunity to dollar cost average down. In fact, I actually ended up buying more MicroStrategy just on Friday as well, taking advantage of the dips. I mean, you're I even bought like at the high 300s, like 380, but just buying in, when it's sub 300, long-term perspective is it's going to gap up. I mean, key thing is we see this pennant flag playing out here, but how long can it stay in this channel? It's not like it's going to go all the way down. Bitcoin price, will eventually continue to go up, and we've seen MSTR have those moments of volatility. But where there's volatility, that's where it gives it more ammunition for it to start running up. So it'll be interesting to see how the markets play out. But I really do like the macro scale updates, seeing M2 supply, going up here. Bitcoin price will follow. I think it's just a short-term hiccup here from how I see it. And the next bull run, according to this posting here, starts on March 11. Now, of course, this is speculation here, but you base it off of historical data. Bitcoin cycles begin 325 days after halving, and peak 10 months after. So that'll be like sometime around like October, November of this year where it starts tapering down. But where we are right now, just with this visual, remember the early halving that shot up after 300 something days. And then, with the 2016 halving, what happened? It shot up after that. And then, with the post 2020 halving, it shot up. And then, we had our recent 2024 halving. So now, we're at that time point, but just based off of the yellow lines here, post the halving, what happened? You see that upward motion, but where we are right now, it's in that neutral zone. It hasn't shot up yet. So, just thinking about miner difficulty, I think one of the key things is like the Bitcoin miners, especially with the halving event, it cuts your revenue by half. So by default, the price of Bitcoin will have to go up. I mean, just with scarcity, cost to mine, all of that gets factored in. So as a result, Bitcoin price is expected to go up. But this gives us a nice visual here on how we look at just long-term perspective, Bitcoin bull run. So I think just with what we've seen historically with that time point of the halving event, X amount of days out, we could very well see this Bitcoin bull run get into that 150 200K range of this cycle. All right, so it looks like we have more people here. I'm monitoring the chats now. So we have Dustin joining here. Thank you for the comment here. I appreciate your question. We have JK joining. You're welcome, game. We have Star SS, the big time whale. Star SS just joined here. This guy has one Bitcoin. He has Ethereum, you name it. So big time shark here. I call you a shark because if you have one Bitcoin, then you're a shark. it's very difficult to even own one Bitcoin nowadays. We have XXC here from Ann Arbor. We have Game One from Germany. Let me know where you guys are all watching from. We all can learn from one another here. So let's see. So Dustin, why Ondo have no in Robinhood app? So I don't know that question as to why there isn't that ability in Robinhood. I haven't used Robinhood yet, so I'm unable to answer that question. But hopefully, someone in the chat is able to do so. Please, if possible, if someone can definitely just provide input there. All right, and XXC here, taking a bold stance. I like that move, especially when things start, going down, taking that advantage for that 2x potential run up. I think that's going to be big news. All right, so I'll continue along here. Definitely leave your comments, questions in the chat here, and star SS. Now you're in Boston. I believe you're the one where you're in that financial sector, right? Where you invest in like IBIT as well. I might be wrong. I might be confused with someone else. All right, so here we have Texas Senate bill. This is big news here. I mean, one of the key things is we're looking at a legit website here, Legiscan, and one of the key things is that we have the latest updates with the SB 21 with the state of Texas trying to enact strategic Bitcoin reserve. So just recently here, the status is a result of pass. Out of like all these people who have voted, you see so many yeses and very few no's here. And you just think about the executive order that just got signed. You would be an outlier to not approve it, and you're basically going against the pro Bitcoin president right now, which it would be very difficult. But just based on where we are here, I think this is a key indicator here. Now that we have, the Texas legislator online here, we have a pass, as of like a couple of days ago. So I think this is a big historic moment here, just where we are with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So just wanted to share that with you. And here we have a posting here. Perhaps now is a good time to remind everyone we are going to effing 20 million per coin by 2031. Yes, it's tough right now to hear about the volatility going on and all that, but we just have to keep in mind that Bitcoin is going to go up. Long-term perspective, I think that we know it's going up. So why is it that we are fearful, like with the short-term hiccup here? All right, so I'm going through the questions here, monitoring the chat. So definitely, guys, I would really appreciate you putting questions in the chat. I'd love to answer all of that. Any input or insights you guys have, put it in the chat as well. I'm monitoring and just trying to share with you my overall assessment updates here. So it looks like we have Fabian joining from Germany. So Fabian, game one is from Germany as well. We have Katie here joining from the East Coast. So definitely, we'll be covering the miners as well, Fabian, but please leave your questions in the chat. We'll cover a lot today as well. Yes, 6 years, 20 million. So Kathy Woods also by 2030, we're gonna be in like 13 million. Even Michael Saylor is forecasting double digits into the million. Think about this strategic Bitcoin reserve here. So as soon as the United States buys up like close to 1 million Bitcoins, that's really going to cause scarcity here. It's going to be a super coin, and that price is just going to keep going up. So I want to share with you this this posting here. So let me get this straight. MSTR is 54% cheap than its previous all-time high. However, it holds 112,000 more Bitcoin than it did back during the run-up of like $550 around November timeframe. SAB 121 got repealed, allowing banks to custody and loan out and against Bitcoin. And now Trump has signed off on a strategic Bitcoin reserve with intentions. So I think this is a big milestone here. And with SAB, we even see it in the Texas, when you look at the actual details of the SBR for Texas, you even have custody defined as well. But how can custody be defined if SAB 121 did not, exist? So all of these parameters come into play, and I think that's just a key signal for why Bitcoin price is just going to keep going up. And I think, as far as, just with Bitcoin price, now we're hovering below 82,000. I think as soon as the market opens, I think, the shorters are going to try to take advantage, bring down the price of Bitcoin. I think MSTR night trading, it might be down by 3-4%. But I think as we enter the opening of the stock market tomorrow, depending on whether there's going to be like tariff talks and all that. We may see upward motion or downward motion. China might be announcing more, rebuttals, and that might very well cause the market to go down even further. But I think now is definitely a great time to just dollar cost averaging down. Wouldn't worry so much. Be greedy when others are fearful. I know it's not easy to buy when funds are tight, but where possible, even if it's a small sprinkle, whether it's $5, $10, you name it. All right, so thank you all for joining. We have Jay Miller here, Central Pennsylvania. We have Katie. Um, Leave your comments, questions in the chat here. So I'm going to go and cover. Okay, so JK, CPI data comes out Wednesday. Most likely will bring more volatility to the crypto market. Yes, so we got the job numbers, right? We saw a reduction in the job numbers, and now inflation is like the true data point that's going to come out. Um, while we have tariff talks, we can't really see the results on the positive impacts with tariffs yet until later downstream. But I think that a lot of people are really looking at the CPI numbers just to see whether inflation goes up or down. Any upward motion with inflation data or any downward pressure with inflation, that may very well cause more volatility. So thank you, JK, for sharing that. So game one, I over leveraged on MSTR. Should I cut losses or hang on? It really depends on your strategy here. I mean, for me, think of it as like a video game. Yes, if it goes down, you're gonna like try to beat yourself up. Like, why didn't I stop loss? Why didn't I just get out when it was like at $300? Now it's at 250. I wouldn't worry so much because yes, it may potentially hover down quite a bit here, getting back to like 250, but that's just going to bounce back up. I have no worries that MSTR is going to stay around the 200 range for the remainder of the year. That's very unlikely. And again, this isn't financial advice, but MSTR, you think about the amount of Bitcoins they have on their balance sheet, 500,000, they're going to get more Bitcoin. And eventually there's going to be government incentives because MSTR has most of the Bitcoin right now. You look at like other, financial institutions, BlackRock, yes, they have a good amount. But then after that, it's like the Bitcoin miners that have the Bitcoins on their balance sheet. So I think there's so much upside when you look at like strategy. I definitely do think that yes, while we see this uncertainty, these are all just short-term hiccups. Take advantage of dollar cost averaging down. Um, it really depends on your investment strategy, but for me, I'm holding on to MSTR. I will continue to just dollar cost average because we're in this, think about where the current price is right now. I mean, you go back here, that's like well like below that super god candle that we saw in 2024, right? So it's just going to continue to climb up. Their business model, works. They took a lot of risks early on. People thought that they're going to go bankrupt, but now the data is telling the story here. I mean, Saylor is part of the strategic Bitcoin reserve. He's working with Donald Trump. I think things are just going to lead this company towards becoming a multi-trillion-dollar company. And when you think about what does it mean when I talk about business model, right? MSTR, you think about why Apple, and this is really what Saylor talked about, right? It's more of like how do you like eliminate your competitors? Think about the Magnificent Seven. So Nvidia, I mean, for the most part, they have the probably the best patent technology for AI. So they've dominated the market. It's a market where they generate the most revenue. You look at like Facebook, Meta, I mean, they've eliminated most of the big time players. Yes, we have like X now run by Elon Musk, but just with what Meta has done, they established themselves with like Facebook and all of those social media platforms. You look at Amazon, what did Amazon do? Amazon took out all of the storefronts because now online shopping is where it's at now, having same day delivery and all that. So why do you need all these storefronts? You look at Apple, right? Most people have an Apple iPhone, so building onto that Apple ecosystem. So one of the things is now with MSTR, they're changing the entire ecosystem of how we look at traditional finance. So think about what's going on with financial analysts and all that. You're taking a risk if you're not proposing to invest in Bitcoin right now. But before, like 5 years ago, if you were a financial analyst and you were suggesting Bitcoin, you most likely would have like been fired because not everyone was attracted to that. So the dynamics have changed. I think that's why hedging into these type of plays, whether it's Bitcoin miners strategy, even Bitcoin, there's so much opportunity here, even though we see market uncertainty here. So I'm going to go back and measure the chats here and continue going through the questions. So I hope that answered the question there. All right, so we have Fabian from Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. Wow, that's amazing just having people from all over the world to watch here. So Katie, 6 years, 20 million. I'm thinking we're going to be somewhere around, we're definitely going to be in the $1 million range, definitely, in a matter of years here. So it's only coming. It's not a if, but it's a when. Will we see a minor capitalization here? So Fabian, thanks for your question. We will be covering, the miners as well. So first off, I want to share with you. I don't know if there's people here who are invested in CleanSpark, but let's talk about miners here now that I'm covering Fabian's question here first. So CleanSpark. So what I'm noticing is that the last week we're beginning to see some really bullish actions with CleanSpark. Why? I think people are buying at the low point. We had huge suppression. Shorters took advantage of CleanSpark price. But one of the driving news is that CleanSpark got added to the S&P 600 small cap index after the bell on Friday. So I think there's going to be a lot of driving catalysts here, along with their earnings report. They were able to demonstrate that they are a mature business. They're ramping up their hash rate to 50 exahash in the next 3.5 months here. So they're mining so much Bitcoin. They just announced their production numbers. We'll cover that as well. But I think overall, just with this visual here, we're looking at a potential breakout here. I mean, just with this posting here, CleanSpark can potentially outperform Bitcoin. Yes, Bitcoin long term, it's more stable, right? Less risky, but CleanSpark, you see these big time waves here. At one point, CleanSpark surged 218% in 3 months in that bullish pennant flag. CleanSpark surged 290% in a month in this bullish pennant flag. What happened? We saw those God candles. back in early 2024 February March timeframe when it was like $3 to $24. Very quick action, but with this huge downward pressure, we're seeing a big time, a bullish pennant flag here. So what's going to happen? I think we're going to see a godlike candle take action again. History tends to repeat itself. There's no question about that. We also look at, just CleanSpark's production number here. They mined 624 Bitcoins, now totaling up to about 11,000 Bitcoins on their balance sheet. They're up to 40.7 exahash. Key thing is they're bringing down their cost to mine Bitcoin as well. 17.7 joules per terahash. Very solid numbers here. All right, so still a bull market. So pro stock trader. So where we are right now with Bitcoin price, we're seeing more downward pressure here. But key thing is that we're in this, this pennant flag here, this bull flag. Yes, we may see more downward pressure, but I think that the lowest it can go, it may very well retest that, that drop off of 73,000. But I think 73,000 is where I'm forecasting the downside can be, but it'll just get bought back up. Bitcoin, people are just going to just eat this price up. All right, so Katie, Bitcoin better start heading north if it wants to get to 20 million. That's crazy. Yep, it's tough seeing, this downward pressure, but I think this is healthy volatility here in this bull channel here. We don't like seeing it go down, but, just with a matter of time, it's going to just shoot back up. I think one of the things we have to keep in mind is how long did it take for Bitcoin? I mean, back in 2024, it stayed in this range of 60,000, 50,000. At one point, it dropped down to 49,000, but it got bought back up. It stayed in this consolidation for like 3/4, so many months. So what we're seeing now is, Bitcoin can't just keep going up, right? It needs room for it to breathe a little bit and, consolidate. So I think that we may very well see some more consolidation, but possibly a breakout. You never know, right? All right. So what do we have to expect in the close feature from Bitfarms, Mara, CleanSpark, Hut 8, Iron, and Wolf? So I think in the near term, as well as long term, we're going to see some government incentives coming out. And of course, we don't have clear updates on this, but just with the recent updates from, just with Fred Thiel, right? Him being at the White House Crypto Summit. So I think a lot of what the miners are trying to push for is, with Fred, connecting with the White House team. His proposal is for the miners to get tax incentives as well as tax implications as well. So, rather than a Bitcoin miner, having to recognize Bitcoin mining rewards as revenue and consider that more of unrecognized revenue until a miner sells, that will very well help Bitcoin mining companies mature much faster versus trying to recognize revenue and pay taxes off of that. So I think the dynamics are really going to change, with Fred's interview with the White House and with his perspective. It's the analogy of sailing into the winds for many years through turbulence and all that. But where we are now is that we're actually sailing in that calm water where there's a horizon for the Bitcoin miners. And obviously we haven't seen that in the recent days, weeks of trading for these miners. There's been just heavy suppression of these stock prices, including Mara. But what we've been seeing is, like, for example, CleanSpark, I'm seeing here a cup and handle pickup here. We're in this bull flag here. But just recently, we're beginning to see, RSI reverse back hugely oversold. MACD is about to cross. We're seeing more bullish divergence here. And, with that support level of like 722, it's now breaking, getting close to like $9 with CleanSpark. Even, Mara as well. I think that there's huge upside. I mean, even on Reddit right now, Mara may very well potentially go to the moon. And we've seen Mara like have, you know, run ups from like $3 to $80. But here, even Mara's ranked 8 right now on the list of stocks that will go to the moon according to Reddit. So a lot of people, even on Reddit, are forecasting that the Bitcoin miners, for example, Mara, can very well have a short squeeze coming up here, and who knows, Mara may pivot to AI as well because we've been getting hints from Fred Thiel on that. So it'll be interesting to see where it's headed. So just with the technicals here of Mara, so the last week, Mara had some big price action. I mean, buying at $12, you can't get any better than that. With Mara dropping so much, I mean, the shorters really, really took advantage of like bringing the price down from like top $30 back in November down to $12. I mean, that's like 65% drop off. I mean, at that point, you've lost mainly all hope. But think about it now, going from like $12 to $16 within like a couple days of trading. Things can very well change very quickly with Mara here. I mean, just scaling out. You see here. I mean, these things can't stay down for long. It's just going to shoot back up. Mara's not going to go out of business. They're continuing to mine Bitcoin. They're also leasing out their Bitcoins. Think of them as a Bitcoin bank. The shorters can't take advantage. I think that, come next week, following next week as well, it may break into $20 is my perspective. So Fabian, I hope that answers your question there. All right, so next up here, I'm going through the chats. So thank you for all the questions, and if you have questions, please leave it in the chat. I own a bunch of CleanSpark. It had a nice bump up Friday. Think it will hold. I definitely think it will hold. I mean, there's a lot of market sentiment right now with CleanSpark. Um, I definitely wouldn't of course, this isn't financial advice, but I think that because CleanSpark has been just heavily suppressed just recently, there's so much room for this thing to like rocket launch. I mean, yes, we have descending lower lows here, but look at this long-term bull flag here that's playing out here. Things can just very well rocket launch with CleanSpark. I'm not kidding here. Just holding on to this can very well make big differences with your finances. So Ryan Rogers, okay, so having a contrarian perspective here, this bull run is definitely looking closer to turning like a bear market. Everything apart from Bitcoin looks horrible, even macro outcasts. You're right. We see that even like with the Max sevens, like Google's been down, Nvidia's dropped, more than close to 30%. Tesla has dropped 50%. Meta has dropped. Uh, you know, Microsoft has dropped. So all of these big time companies have taken a beating, all because of just tariff news. I think that money is circulating. These big time whales are just reallocating their money. And where are they reallocating it to? I think that they're reallocating it to like, MSTR and the miners is my take, along with other sectors as well. So people are smart money. They're just shifting their money right now. So thanks for your input there, Ryan and Fabian. Rob, hello from New Jersey. Do you think the 6 week on increasing M2 money supply will turn another bull run in late March, May? That's an excellent question, Rob. So we did cover M2 here M2 money supply. So if if you haven't seen the M2 money supply, what the projections are here is we're seeing global supply liquidity of all of the the top 21 central banks around the world. It's increasing here, so there's more money going around the world. Price of Bitcoin we see going down, currently at like low 80,000s, but typically Bitcoin price tends to correlate with M2 global supply. It tends to lag behind a couple weeks. So any point as we're seeing this upward motion, Bitcoin price is going to follow. I think that we're just going to see this consolidation here, whether the line gets pushed out, but eventually we're just going to see Bitcoin hover, consolidate, and just shoot back up. Yes, I know a lot of people are fearful on that, but I think that things are going to change. Can Bitcoin price go down to 65K? So AMD's question. So you may see 65K, right? I mean, you think about it. There's always that potential. 73K. I very well think that there's even potential for it to even drop down to 65K. What did we see in the last bull cycle? After 3 years of gains in the last bull cycle, what happened in 2022? We saw huge buying here at 16,000. So top off at, like the 70K, dropping down to, 16K. So, where we are at the all-time high of 109K, 65K, there's possibility of that happening as well. But I'll stick to what Tom Lee is forecasting somewhere around that $70,000 range. Although one of Tom Lee's teammates forecasting around 65K. But I think that we're in a good state though. Even if it goes down, just keep buying up Bitcoin, keep buying MSTR, keep buying these miners. So Raymond Santos. Okay, so thank you, Fabian, for the comment there. I really appreciate it. And then Pro Stock Trader, you watched all your video every day. Are you Chinese or Korean? Just curious. So I'm actually none of those, but I do. I am married to a Korean. I'm actually Vietnamese, but thank you. I appreciate the support there, Pro Stock Trader, for you, just supporting with this channel, along with everyone else as well. So, Luridan, tomorrow will be red day for miners because of Bitcoin 81K. Yeah, so hopefully Bitcoin starts running up. Night trading, we're going to see more downward pressure here. I think that it's just going to keep coming. So Fabian, short look for Bitfarms. So, Bitfarms, we're seeing some nice price action, right? I mean, fundamentals, they're bringing down their fleet efficiency costs. Leading competition. Their cost to mine isn't like super bad or anything. I mean, cost to mine is very competitive with those out there. Their share price shot up by like 9%, similar to CleanSpark. So Bitfarms is, we're seeing some nice technicals there. They pump out like over 200 Bitcoins every month. So they're doing wherever possible and perhaps shifting into HPC AI as well. So I think there's definitely some nice opportunity here. Along with this posting here, I don't understand these beautiful accumulation pattern in Riot and Mara. What could be the point to accumulate for so long? So we look here, Riot Platforms, it's been taking a beating in the near term here, but I think that we may see a breakout session here, just with Riot on top of Mara as well, right? That heavy downward pressure just recently, shorters taking advantage, trying to bring it down to $12. I'm thinking that Mara is going to get back up to $30. Just with this posting here, Riot shares could move upwards in the next 2 weeks and finally trend bullish after a long bear market. The stock could become one of the top performers this year. So very possible here. That $20 was the prior resistance back in 2023. 2024, we saw a couple occurrences of, breaking that $18, $16. Just recently, we saw $15, $14. I definitely do think that there's heavy market manipulation here, but, we could very well see, Riot just, break out here just based on this perspective. And any ink deal with an HPC AI client, this thing is just going to keep running up. And just looking at, just analysts here, the last two earnings report here, they missed their earnings report. They missed it again in Q3 2024. But Q4 2024, they beat the forecasts here, and were able to show a positive revenue here, just with 142 million dollars in revenue in the Q4. And you look at analyst recommendations here, March, February, strong buy and buys. We don't see anything with selling pressure here. And price analysts here, I mean, the 52 week high and low points here at 837, you can't get any better than that. Buying low, selling high, with average cost of 1780 price target, with the high potential of $23. Definitely huge upside here with Riot, from how I see it. And just looking at the technicals of just with Mara here, I think that definitely huge suppression here, but you see this upward motion here. I think it's gonna just bounce back up. All right, so when do you think CleanSpark will be in the 20s? So that's a great question. So I'm gonna say that we'll see $20 in the year 2025. So investors like myself, including Katie and you, Luridon, holding on to CleanSpark in 2025, definitely have upside for it to go up. So we got William here joining. That's great. But I hope that answers your question there, Luridon. Thank you for your question. And then Katie's Wells are buying all the chickens, so they have control of the eggs. Very, very true here. I mean, we're having an egg shortage because of just outbreaks going on. Thank you, ProStock. You're welcome. You're welcome, Fabian, for the comment there. And yeah, just definitely leave your comments and questions in the chat. We'll continue forward here. But I think, the miners, we have some huge upside here, especially with Mara being hugely oversold. I think last week, volumes picking up. You see here, RSI, I mean, in red here. I mean, anytime when you have an RSI this low, it's just screaming at you to just buy, buy, buy. The MACD here, we saw that MACD crossing here. What happened when the MACD crossed back in August? I mean, from a long-term perspective, we saw that, that $13 run up to $30. We're going to see that same wave play out from my perspective. MACD crossing here. Yes, we're going to see, similar convergence crossings, but I think that we're going to see more momentum pick up with the miners, as well as MSTR as well here, with the MACD just recently crossing as well. But you see these big time red candlesticks showing here. But how long can it continue to stay red? We will continue to see those green days where we will be sailing in the horizon. Thank you, William. The #1 channel for Bitcoin and miners. I really appreciate that. And yes, I do, see your perspective on the April 15 tax time. Yeah, and people, whether people get tax returns and all that, I think that a lot of people are going to buy up Bitcoin, or, just buying stocks or stocks that have a leverage to Bitcoin. But where we are right now, 81,000 Bitcoins. What's driving all this here? The fear, uncertainty. But here, Texas established the first U.S. government-managed Bitcoin reserve fund, creating a new precedent for state involvement in crypto. I mean, we're not bullish enough here. This is just big, big news coming. I just don't see why, price of Bitcoin continues to go down. I think a lot of the manipulation has to do with, although we have the Bitcoin reserve being signed here, there was no like indication about buying Bitcoin. But like what Cynthia Lummis said, at the Bitcoin conference back in 2024, we start with preserving the Bitcoin that the government has, 200,000 Bitcoins. And then we're going to have a plan to buy up more Bitcoin using the neutral strategy that Michael Saylor has proposed. So it all comes down to just having that mapping, that plan that will play out. So Katie, yes, I noticed, but thank you for joining this live chat. Hopefully, you're getting value out from this. And if you're getting value from all of this, first off, thank you guys. I'm so thrilled that you guys are here and would appreciate the subscribe. Turn on the bell notification as well, and like this video. Kaylin here, thank you for your info. Really enjoy the content. Thanks so much on the MSTR perspective. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just so passionate about this. I love researching and I love learning from all of you and, just sharing back. And if you find it valuable, then, the best thing that I could ask for is just subscribing and continuing to, be engaged with this channel. That's all I ask for. So Katie, I typically do lives on Saturdays, and if I can't do it on Saturdays, I'll do it on Sundays. But what would you all prefer? I've been doing it mainly on Saturdays, but from a preference wise, let me just put it in the chat here like a poll. Okay, I'll put it in the chat here. One moment, guys. All right, so I just put a poll out there, but would love your feedback. Okay, so it looks like we got more folks answering here. Let's see. So far we have 3 votes. Yeah, I would love for more input here, just to see what the data is telling us. So far we have 3 votes here. Oh, so it's okay. So around 11:30. Okay, got it. So it looks like we have more folks preferring Sunday so far. Okay, we got 5 votes. Yeah, so getting close to 10,000 subs. Hopefully, and in this upcoming few months, we'll definitely get beyond that 10,000. But it's all attributed to everyone's here support. Okay, so it looks like Sunday is the preference here. So I'll definitely look at that and consider all of that. But perhaps, any other questions that we have here? Maybe I could take a few more questions here. But current price of Bitcoin at 81,000. Definitely some market uncertainty here. But let me just search, updates here. Just looking at, I like to look at Wall Street just to see, what's going on with the economy. Okay, so then Trump declines to rule out recession. In an interview that aired Sunday, the president demurred when asked if there were reassurance he could provide to businesses seeking more clarity on tariffs. So I think, the Trump, he really likes using the stock market as an indicator for his performance. Um, but I think that with any updates here, I don't see any big updates coming. Um, but Katie's requests here, let's take a look at the rainbow chart. All right, so Bitcoin rainbow price chart here. So where are we currently? So we're in that buy range, right? I mean, what's below that is the basically a fire sale, super cheap. But then, after the buy, we're in that accumulation phase and then still cheap. So definitely huge opportunity here. We haven't even broken out yet just with this Bitcoin bull cycle here, this rainbow chart. Yeah, so great question, Colin. So with M2 supply growing, how long does it normally take for Bitcoin price to follow? So it typically takes about it usually lags like 2 to 4 weeks here. So as we see here that trend here of like February 24, right? So then that's like 4 days plus 9 days here. So that's about 12, 13 days. So starting now onward with 2 weeks, we're expected to see Bitcoin price to go up here. So great question. Sailor's last two tweets. Let's take a look at that. Definitely. Mr. Sailor here with the orange tie. So Sailor is a CEO of Strategy. So last night I dreamed I was back at the White House here. So lovely, orange here, White House. If you still have more than one chair, this is your opportunity. 4 hours ago, and then here, let's. So there you have Michael Saylor. Glad I'm wearing my orange tie, sitting right next to the CEO of Coinbase, Trump, right in the middle. We're not bullish enough here. America will be the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Let the golden age of America, begin here. We always hear about, we're going to be in this golden era. Well, the United States is entering that golden era. Why? Because we have a new strategic focus to hold Bitcoin, never sell Bitcoin. At one point, US will just start. One of my predictions is that what's going to happen is that we're going to start auditing Fort Knox. We've seen, a Doge, right? Like, Elon Musk tweeting that they're gonna, audit, the Fort Knox site for all the gold reserves. David Sachs, he was alluding to auditing, the digital crypto assets that the government holds. And as soon as we gain information from the Fort Knox event, as well as auditing the digital assets, all of those digital gold certificates, even Cynthia Lummis was alluding to this, that all of that is going to be those certificates that are held at the Federal Reserve Bank across the United States. Those gold certificates are going to be used to buy Bitcoin. And so we'll get, all of those ledgers, purchasing Bitcoin, putting it into cold wallets and store it, preserve it, secure it. That's where the United States is going to be ahead of the game here. Just selling Bitcoin, selling gold to buy up Bitcoin, and guess who's going to follow that? Um, China is going to be doing the same thing, right? And then at one point, Bitcoin, just with Okay, I'm just going to bring up assets by ranked here. Okay, so Bitcoin at one point it was 2 trillion. I think it's because of the price being at like 80,000 here. But you know, rank 9 here. Eventually, they're gonna, you know, climb up and bypass gold at 19 trillion. So Bitcoin is climbing up very quickly here. It's only a matter of time that it just bypasses it. So we have JG Lee here. Thank you, JG, for joining. So after Fort Knox audit, they can sell some gold to buy Bitcoin without burdening the taxpayers. Definitely. I think that's the approach, like reallocating the funds to something that has higher returns. So, Callan, the Orange House, not Europe. Katie, I really hope miners run. Very risky, I think, but you got to take chances in life. That's how you look at the world, right? I mean, investing in these type of like plays, like you know, like Bitcoin miners. I mean, it was up $24 back in like 2024, you know, and then now at like $7. I mean, that's a big time drop. But when things drop like that, that's where it has the potential to run up quickly, right? Like, you know, 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x. You know, we've seen, you know, 5-year chart of CleanSpark. I mean, we've seen CleanSpark shoot up like, you know, very high. So the sky's the limit when it comes to investing in these type of plays. But I think now Bitcoin is more of the stable play. So um, definitely undervalued at 81,000 here. But with that, I'm so grateful that all of you were able to join this Sunday. It was a great opportunity to answer questions and then just collaborate with you all. And if you're new to this channel, or if you've seen a couple channels of videos here on this channel, first off, I'm so thrilled and grateful that you're here, or you find value entertainment in this channel. If you're not subscribed, the only thing I ask is, you know, please subscribe. Help this channel out here, where I will continue to add value and research. Uh, but thank you, Colin. Subbed and plus bell. You know, is one thing doing that, but having that bell notification turn on, that's awesome. So that just shows your commitment and support as well. But just let me know how I can continue to improve. Like JG Lee, I mean, he's provided very good feedback on like how I can improve the quality of the channel. So I've taken feedback in. So um, always willing to learn and you know, benefit from everyone, as well as everyone gaining value from this. But again, thank you guys for watching. We're at that hour marker. I get kind of tired, like you know, I get brain fog after going an hour beyond. You know, and JG Lee has recommended not to burn myself out as well. But thank you all. You all have a great Sunday, and hopefully we'll see some positive upside for this upcoming week, along with the rest of 2025. So thank you. Take care, guys.